Hey guys, Blades of God here from Hammer Bros Gaming, coming at you with another Gears 5 Master Escape Guide. Today we're going to be running the Corruption, showing you how to get through this map. Can be a little bit tricky, it's not too bad, but we're going to show you a couple of tricks and strategies to get through some of the more tougher parts, and hopefully it'll help you out. So for classes for this map, we're going to be running Protector, Tactician, and Infiltrator. Blades of God, I'm going to be running the Protector class, so that's the perspective you'll see. Mr. Beardsley's running Tactician, and Pyro will be running Infiltrator. For our modifiers, we got Poison Rejects and Ghost Rejects, so when the rejects die, they're going to leave poison puddles, and they will turn invisible when they get close to you. Longer recharge means it takes our ultimate abilities are going to take longer to recharge, and we have Ammo Starvation, which means we are going to not get a lot of ammo from pickups throughout the map. Hence me running Protector, which is a melee-based class, Beardsley running his Tactician with Resupply and the Explosive Damage card, and Pyro, we know we're going to get Nasher, so Pyro's running Infiltrator with the Bleed Damage setup. In addition to those modifiers, we also have some of our regulars like More Damage, Enemy Health, and Iron Man. So, once we start out, we come out of the spawn room, or the, I don't know what you want to call it, the safe room, and you're going to come straight across here. You're going to either have hunters with Marksas and some drones, or you're going to have snipers with long shots and drones. It doesn't really change things all that much regardless of which spawn you get, but whatever you get here you'll be dealing with for most of the first part of the map. There are obviously a lot of rejects on this map, so take your time if you can and sneak up on them and get the executions by pulling their batteries or their cores out. We do split up here. You can see we're splitting up, and the reason we're doing this is because there are 3 safe rooms or ammo rooms in this first part, and you want to clear out all of these enemies as quickly as you can in order to access these ammo rooms. One of them has a boom shot, which is very important for Beardsley, who's running Tactician with that explosive damage bleed, and one of them has a Nasher, which is very important for Pyro, who's running the Infiltrator with the bleed damage on the shotgun. So Beardsley and Pyro end up going over to one side, I go to the other. I was dealing mostly with rejects, and my melee bleed damage combo really can take them out very quickly, so I went solo, but I didn't figure on having enough time to open that door with poison right underneath me, so I ended up getting down. Thankfully, Pyro came back, revived me. They were down to just having one enemy over here, so Beardsley and I kind of team up and take this guy out. Once we take out this rifle drone, that clears up 2 of our 3 safe rooms, or our ammo rooms, I'm sorry. You can see Pyro on the mini-map is off by himself. He's actually going to the 3rd ammo room already, trying to start working at clearing it out. He runs into a bit of difficulty, but we'll cross that bridge in just a minute. So in the room that I'm in, there are a lot of flash grenades, there's some ammo pouches, and there's a Lancer. Seeing as how I'm running Protector, I'm not really going to be using weapons. I'm going to be using my melee damage for the most part, but I picked up a Marksa from one of the enemies that we killed right at the beginning, and I'm just loading up on this ammo in case one of my teammates decides they need a weapon. I'll have weapons with ammo that I can drop for them, or I'll have it if I need it. But by and large, you just want to make sure that your Tactician is going to have the boom shot and your Infiltrator will have a shotgun, and we're working towards getting that right now. So you can see Pyro was still kind of pinned down behind this cover because there's an alcove. There's only one way to get into this alcove, and there are, I believe, 4 or 5 enemies in that room, so it's a lot of firepower coming at you. Beardsley tries to vault the cover and close the distance, but it doesn't work out so well. I come up and drop my bubble shield. Again, I really think the Protector is a underutilized class. I don't see a lot of people running Protector, and that bubble shield, man, it can buy you some valuable seconds to either heal or gather your bearings when you're in a firefight. But anyway, I dropped the bubble shield to revive Beardsley, and to give us a second, I was trying to time up the reloads on the enemies to get up here and close the distance to melee them, but it didn't work out so well, so I'm crawling back. We have 2 of us down right now. Always makes you a little nervous when that happens. I tried to get back in cover, didn't work because Pyro was coming out of cover. I threw a flash grenade to try to stun a couple of these enemies, and I got them, but instead of going to close the distance, I went into cover accidentally. But it gave us enough time to get all 3 of us pushed up on the enemies that were here. We got them all cleaned up so we could access the safe room. This is the safe room that has the Nasher. There's a frag grenade in here as well. So we're going to have Beardsley grab that because, again, he's running that explosive damage. stim packs, and if you want to pick up the cog tags just so you could improve your time and get a better score, feel free to do that. You can see we ran into a few hiccups, but we still made pretty good time, and we already have the bad or the dangerous venom that's starting to cut us off from our route. So you do need to be fairly quick while you're doing this. You can obviously run through some of that harmful venom, but it's never a good idea to let it catch up to you too much. So once we come around this next bend, you're going to have kind of this long corridor where you have another 5 or so enemies. Most of them are rifle drones and marksas. And you could see Beardsley used one of his boom shots and bled out a couple of enemies. I closed in on the remaining enemies using my stim. That stim is awesome because it does allow me to take a shot or two and still stay on my feet on Master. So I was able to close and melee a couple of the enemies down. You can see we're panicking just a little bit right now because that venom is catching up to us. But we're still in the clear. Just take your time, use your cover. You don't have a lot of ammo here, so again, we're trying to utilize our melees, especially, like I said, I have the bleed damage and the melee damage increased, but the other two guys, Beardsley and Pyro's got a shotgun, but Beardsley doesn't really have anything to deal a lot of damage except for the explosives, and we're trying to hold on to that. So you're going to want to utilize that triple melee, which if you're using a controller, it's to push B, B, and then push and hold B a third time. And what that'll do is it'll stun your enemy and then give you an execution. Takes a little bit of time. You can also push B, B, and then X. B, B, hold B, and then press X to take a meat shield rather than execute them, and it's a little faster. But either way, you're going to want to get used to doing that on Master because it is very, very crucial. So once you get to this part here, you can see there's a safe room on either side of the corridor that we're going down. You're going to get rushed by a lot of rejects. And I mean a lot of rejects. Our original plan was we were going to kind of kite them down into one of these ammo rooms and then lock them in. But that didn't end up working, so I kind of used my melee and did some hit and run tactics, bled them out. Usually 2 hits with the melee with me is enough to bleed out the rejects. So I ended up taking them all out and then got Beardsley back on his feet, reconnected with Pyro, who had used his shotgun to take out a bunch of the rejects on his side, and we made it through. The other option is you can, since you have the explosive bleed damage, try to bunch them all up together and then have your tactician use a boom shot or a grenade to take them out and let them bleed out. But whatever tactic you use, just be aware there are going to be a lot of rejects in that section. So now we're into the last part before the safe room. You're going to have you always have 2 scions. I don't think they're always mulcher scions. We had 2 mulchers, which is unfortunate. Beardsley and I both go down. Pyro's taking cover, and he has a wonderful flash throw to stun them. He gets me back on my feet, I get Beardsley back up, and you're going to see I'm meleeing one of the enemies, one of the scions, and I go down, but I'd popped my bubble shield so that other scion wouldn't be able to shoot at me while I was dealing with one of the scions. Again, just another great reason to have the Protector class. I pick up a mulcher, probably not the best idea to try to lay down some cover and distract the enemies while Beardsley and Pyro close in. Beardsley ends up going down. Pyro is going down there. He pops his invis to try to buy himself some time and execute a few enemies. He gets to cover real quick, notices that both Pyro and Beardsley and I are down, so he gets to cover and waits until I crawl to him. One of the nice things about, even on Master difficulty, if you go down, as long as you don't get executed, you have a long bleed out time, so you can cover some ground. Unfortunately, Beardsley is trapped in a box. He gets killed, but we're right at the safe room, so we're not that far from getting him revived. Pyro throws a flash and comes out to save me, and he took out a couple of the enemies that were left. Even though we're at the safe room, I see that Beardsley's boom shot and frag are over there, so I decide to run out. There are a couple of enemies still up on the right, but again, since we're running a tactician with explosive damage, I want to make sure that the boom shot and the frag grenade come with us. So I drop the Lancer, keep the Marksa, pick up the boom shot and the frag grenade, and that way, once Beardsley respawns in the safe room, I can drop those weapons and he can be loaded up with some explosives again. So normally I would kind of fast forward through the safe room, but I didn't this time. I'm not entirely sure why. But when you come into this safe room, the midway point, you're going to have some ammo in here. So as usual, divvy it up as you see fit. The big thing again is making sure that your infiltrator has their shotgun filled up, because you want to make sure they have plenty of bleed damage. I am going to grab 1 pouch for the Marksa just because it doesn't hurt to have some ammo for some distance work, even though I'm primarily running melee class. So wait for the doors to open, doesn't take too long, and as we come out here, this part can get a little tricky, and it's not terribly hard as long as you're running this setup with plenty of bleed damage. You're going to end up getting rushed by a lot of rejects here, and unfortunately there's going to be a couple of bastions that make life really difficult for you. So you don't want to run up these stairs, you want to walk. I was trying to pull the battery on that reject, but it didn't happen. So you can see I'm using hit and run techniques here. A couple of melees is enough to bleed out these enemies, and I'm just 1-2 meleeing and diving away, and that's usually enough to bleed them out. Pyro's going to town with that Nasher because he's running the infiltrator, and you can see there are the bastions. Beardsley tried to come over and give me a hand, and you can see there are a ton of rejects here. Ideally what you would want to do is kind of kite them down those stairs and then have your tactician use the boom shot or the frag grenade to take them out. What I had to do was lead them all away so I could get Beardsley back on his feet. Pyro's on his own over there doing some great work, and I'm trying desperately. I don't know how I didn't get downed right there because I was cornered, but trying desperately to thin their numbers a little bit to give us some breathing room. Pyro found himself a grenade launcher, a Lancer GL, which ideally your tactician should have for the bleed damage, but he's going to town with his weapons and doing a great job thinning out their numbers. And the big thing is you want your tactician or anybody who has bleed damage on to focus on those bastions because they really are a pain. You can see here, even though I'm not running anything with any damage increase with a weapon, I'm still trying to pick off that one bastion who's being extremely stubborn. Beardsley is even trying to use the boom shot to hit him, and he's being squirrely. He's not letting us hit him. So we end up both going down. We have one bastion and one reject left, and Beardsley and I both get downed. Pyro is kind of annoyed at this point because we're wasting so much time trying to get this one bastion down, but it's if you can get it down to just 1 or 2 rejects, they're pretty easy to avoid. The biggest thing you need to worry about in this section, or at this point in this section, is all the poison that'll be on the ground, because every one of those rejects that you kill is going to leave a poison puddle. So we finally got the bastion down. Pyro actually has a breaker mace that he's going to drop for me because my melee damage extends into any melee weapons like pipes and breaker maces, so he's going to drop that for me right here. I'm going to pick it up and going to tell Beardsley there's a frag grenade over there. He picked it up, and we're going to continue. You can see the venom caught up to us a lot, but there are a lot of weapons in that area where all the rejects come from, so you're going to want to make sure that you take the time and scout out whatever you can for weapons because you're going to need them coming up. So the rest of this, or this next section, there's only one path. There's no real options here, so you're going to just continue up the stairs, take out the rejects. There can be a couple of them standing in that opening area, and you can get some easy executions on them just to thin the numbers a little bit. But these left and right rooms are very, very good for cover. There's not a lot in the way of ammo, or there's almost no ammo except for the weapons you pick up off of enemies in this area. So again, you're going to have to close on the enemies or come over to this ammo room. We tried holding that left side in previous runs and it didn't work. We found the best thing to do is actually to come into this ammo room, and again, if you follow this guide and have this weapon set up, you're going to be able to use this strategy. We have flash grenades on us. I have a breaker mace, and there is a weapon locker in here. So I'm going to pop the breaker mace onto the weapon locker to recharge. It recharges really quickly, thankfully. I'm going to grab a little bit of ammo for the Marksa, and what we're going to do is we're going to, or we have the option to open that door, flash the enemies. There's shock and flame grenades in here as well. And I'm going to kind of sit by the door and be ready to melee if needed, if there's anybody right there. There was only one reject, unfortunately, so we meleeed him down. And you've got hunters in the back here, so you're going to want to be careful. Those torque bow shots will definitely end your run quickly. So you can see I'm just trying to pick off some headshots, do a little bit of damage, and weaken him. It's the only enemy that's in my field of view right now. And there's a claw drone, but again, this is a pretty safe room to hold. There's not going to be any enemies sneaking up on you. At this point, your biggest concern is just not taking so long that the venom catches up. So the venom isn't unreasonably quick in this map, and you do have a good amount of distance between your fights, so you can gain a little bit of time on that venom as it advances. But you want to keep moving. So I came back here, checked my breaker mace, saw it was full, so I grabbed it. Unfortunately, it looks, I think it's Beardsley's down again. So I ran up, revived him. Pyro was doing some good work with his Nasher, taking out some enemies. And yeah, you can see I decided to try to close on some of these elite, these hunters. I don't know what this hunter was doing up on top of the cover, but I could barely reach him with my melee. And I really, really didn't want to use my breaker mace for one enemy. So we kind of shot him. Then we came over to this left side. For whatever reason, we found it more difficult to hold, like I said earlier, we found it more difficult to hold this left side than the right side ammo room. But if you've got time and the venom hasn't caught up to you, come over here and load up on any additional ammo that you can find, or grenades, or anything like that. So, as you can see, that bad venom, the deadly venom, is right there. It's right on our doorstep. So we're going to book it. We're heading out. Beardsley and Pyro are actually scouting for additional ammo. Beardsley grabbed a torque bow because of that bleed damage. And we're heading on. Now, this is arguably one of the toughest parts of this map. That reject spawn right at the beginning of the second act is very difficult, but this part may be more difficult depending upon how the enemies are set up. So there's the big central staircase, and as you can see, like right in front of me, there was a side staircase, so you have 3 ways to go up in this room. The tough part is you've got 2 bastions protecting 2 scions. I tried to hit him with a breaker mace, it didn't work. Pyro's doing good work with the shotgun trying to take out those bastions, and I actually think for some reason my breaker mace got through the shield there, and it started bleeding out that scion. But whatever the case is, you want to make sure that you focus first on these bastions. You can kind of kite them around this big central staircase and sneak up behind them, split up your team a little bit since you all have bleed damage, and try to get shots around the back of the bastion so you can take them out. Once you take them out, and again, being the melee class with the bleed damage and the breaker mace, you know, you can really, I think one shot with the breaker mace is enough to take out those scions. Once they're out of commission and the few drones that there are that are coming with the scions are out of commission, you can push up on this area right before the exit. There's a couple of hunters who are camping behind this piece of cover, and we took them out. Actually, it was a hunter and a claw drone, I think. And I was considering going up and... Oh, they were behind this cover. I'm sorry, they were behind the next cover. So there were 2 hunters there. There was a claw drone behind that first piece of cover. But there's not a ton of enemies at this point. The big threat is those scions who have the bastions guarding them. So once you take them out, we've still got 1 enemy shooting at us, but we decide to just leave him in there instead of wasting time trying to kill him. So we're going to get set up. I grabbed a shock nade from one of those last ammo rooms. Beardsley has his torque bow ready to go with the explosive bleed and his frag grenades. Pyro has a shotgun ready to go, and I've still got my breaker mace, which is almost fully charged. So we're going to throw a shock grenade in the door to slow the enemies down. Beardsley's using his explosives to thin out the herd, and I'm just using this door as cover in case anything comes through. 1 big hit takes out 3 of the rejects, and that's it. That's pretty much going to get you through it, guys. I hope this helped, and stay tuned for more Gears of War Master Escape guides. Until next time, bye-bye. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, please like and subscribe. You can also check us out on Twitch at Hammer Bros Gaming. I am Blades of God, and until next time, have a great day, everyone.